then I could send this to Rob. He doesn't even have to be here. Okay,
Perfect.
I think it's recording. All right, hopefully it is. Okay, so essentially since the last time, now Beva, you weren't on the last call because I think you were either away or sick. Um,
Oh, okay.
but David, you were with us. So
That's
since
right. I was
kind of,
filling in as Ben.
that's right.
Oh, I'm filling in as Rob, so
Yeah.
there we go.
So since that last meeting, we've done a couple of things, and kind of what we were going to start to work on is this last section right here, which is the tests, the protocols, equipment types. That's still kind of in development a little bit, and unit reports. So if this jargon isn't kind of your guys' language, then we can change that. But I'll explain to you what each one of these is. So tests. Um, so let me first start with, we were working with reports that Tim sent us, and the one that we've kind of started to work with is the biosafety cabinet one, the class 2 biosafety cabinet
Yes.
report, just because it has a lot of different elements in it. So we
And
thought
it's
that was a
probably our that's probably our most used report. So that's actually a good one to start with.
okay. All right, that's good. So the idea of what we are trying to do is to not hard code the biosafety cabinet class 2 report into the system, but to give the administrators, or Rob or Bev or whoever, the ability to create reports in the system easily, so that you can set up a report for any machine that you're looking at or that you're inspecting now, or any machine in the future that might come in. Okay.
Okay.
So you might need some help with us to, like in the beginning. Obviously, all of the reports that Rob has given me, we will sit down and build it with you guys so that you understand how the thing functions, and to also make sure that the system is doing everything that you need it to do. So it's not like we're going to say, okay, we've set it up. Now you guys go ahead and just put everything in.
Yeah.
I'll come on site and sit with you guys and just make sure that the system is going to work to capture all of the data and to report it out properly. Okay.
Okay.
So that's what the tests are. The protocols are, and so the tests, sorry, I'm not being clear about that. I'm gonna go here just to kind of explain it a little bit more. But if you think about the class 2 cabinet test, it has several different sections to it. Might be a good way of describing it.
Yeah.
So I've got a paper copy in front of me. So there's the velocity profile, airflow, smoke pattern tests, etc. So essentially what these are is the individual sections within one larger test, okay? Within one larger report.
Mhm.
And then the protocols are essentially the ability to group individual tests into one report. Okay, so what you can see here is that this, this is essentially building your class 2 biosafety cabinet test or
Okay.
report or whatever you guys want to call it. Okay. I'm not saying this properly because I'm using the word test too many times, but this is essentially building the report that the inspectors, that the technicians will use. Okay.
Okay.
Um, and the equipment types, which is what we're starting to develop, um, this is where you'll see where we've kind of we'll set up all of the different kind of higher level categories of equipment types and assign them the protocol that applies to them. If they have multiple protocols, and we haven't really talked about that much, but we'll make sure that the technicians have the ability to choose additional tests if they need to, or to remove tests from the report once they set it up. Okay. So hopefully that all makes sense to you, kind of what we're trying to do. From the technician's perspective, they'll probably only really see two things when they come into the system. Okay. They'll see a list of work orders. It'll look
Mhm.
something like this, not quite like this. We're going to have a kind of more like a dashboard for them, where they'll be able to see their work order numbers, who their customer is, what the job site is. They'll probably only see their own. They wouldn't see a list with other people in it. what the status of the work order is, when it was opened, what the deadline is, and then they would fill in a scheduled date. Okay. And so if I click, I'm just going to click on one of them. And this is now where, oh, this isn't a good one. This is a better one. And so this is where Beverly or someone like Beverly has started to set up the work order. Sorry, I'm doing some work this weekend and these guys are they're in Halifax, so they're starting to leave for the day. And now they're like, do you have any other questions? Like, yeah, millions, but not right now. So this is kind of like, and Beverly, you didn't see this part, so this will be something completely new. God, you guys.
Okay.
This will be something new to you, but I'll show you this kind of offline. But this is essentially how you build your work order. All right. And I'll just kind of give you a brief overview. Essentially, you would create a work order, you would set up who your customer is, what your job site is, and by connecting the job site to the work order, it brings in all of the customer units that are linked to that job site. Okay. And then essentially what you do is you move them from this side over to this side. So this is just a big one that we've added 34 units to. Okay. And essentially what it'll let you do too is this is your summary up here that just gets created based on what they're doing. So if I change that, you can see now it changes the numbers up in the summary. So there's going to be 15 that he has to certify, 1 that he has to decontaminate, 16 to inspect, and 2 to repair. Okay. And this is essentially just your way of communicating to them what they have to do. Mm-hmm. So once they have their work order, they would open up their work order on their site, and they would start to work on whichever unit they decide to start with. They can see more information about the unit by clicking here, right? So they can see what its exact location is, which is probably one of the most important things. So then this just doesn't have very much information filled in on it. But that's just data that you guys will be able to pull in. So here's a better one. At least they know which room number it's in. They can see the model number, if the serial number was filled in. So this is just very detailed information so they can easily identify from the work order which unit they're going to be working on. Okay.
All right.
Can I just ask a quick question at this point? And again, this is only my second experience here with this stuff, so I hope I'm not asking a question that's been asked many times. But on that screen that you just had, when you click on one of these units, I see a couple things in there like notes. Is that information that will be carried over from, let's say, a technician leaving a note on last year's work order on that unit?
The notes are actually, I'm actually going to go to the unit itself and I'll just kind of show you.
Okay.
So this is information just about this customer unit. Okay. So whatever notes there are about this customer unit could be filled in here.
Yep.
The technicians, from my understanding is the technicians aren't restricted in terms of what they can, like what they'll be able to access in the system. So if they wanted to leave notes here, they could. Wait, I gotta just tell these guys I'm doing a meeting right now.
Just put your computer on Do Not Disturb.
Yeah, I just want to tell them because I think they're expecting something from me right now. Okay. All right, I think they're okay. Okay. But if I put it on Do Not Disturb, aren't I going to lose my internet connection though?
No, if you click on the icon in the top right corner of your screen, looks like beside the magnifying glass, it's basically like putting your phone on Do Not Disturb. So scroll up, so that you're above the Friday 20, notifications. Sorry, I forgot you're on an old OS. Scroll up.
It's not letting me do anything.
Can you go up further than that?
No.
Never mind.
This isn't that old. I'm only one system behind you.
It's old.
All right.
Never mind. Sorry, everybody. I'm out of here.
Hopefully they'll stop talking to me. Hopefully they'll stop talking because they're talking amongst themselves right now. I'm just in their stupid text chain right now. Okay. So what you were saying, David, is this is notes specifically about the customer unit. If they wanted to leave a note about a work order, I'll just go back there again. So there's no notes field in here, which we could certainly add. But
No,
there's also,
it's not so much that I thought anything was missing. I guess, I was just curious, like, for example, when we're testing these units, we might say something like, X part is starting to fail, or something like that. And,
yeah,
and it's actually really beneficial when that information from one year to the next can be passed along to the next person,
yeah.
especially with a different technician going. So just when I saw that window, I was just curious, is that what, the notes is going to do? Could I say, the light ballast is buzzing, probably needs replacement next year in the notes,
Yeah.
and when the tech pulls it up, they're going to see that.
Yeah, we could certainly do something like that. There could be something in here that is a, carry forward note for the next inspection kind of thing.
So the
We could
bottom of
also
that,
have like, if I look at, I'm just going to go to the inspection for a second. Because in here as well, we could definitely have some kind of note that would be a carry forward note. Like we could definitely do that in here. And pull it back like so that it would be more attached to the unit. We could certainly do that.
okay.
Yeah, in your example, you could enter a note in that unit saying this machine is about to fail, and it'll show up in that portal.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, like it's not like that note is deleted every year or will be stored
No.
under last year's. I mean, that is the unit record that remains current as long as the system is running, is it not?
Yes.
As long as nobody deletes it, then it'll be in there.
Okay. Perfect. No, that's
I don't know if
great.
you can edit that.
Great. Yep.
Yeah, they can't edit from here. Is this
If you go to the actual unit, then you should be able to enter the note right in
Yeah.
there, and it should show the note from the unit itself.
okay? Yeah,
And so that note will stay until somebody actually physically deletes it.
that's correct.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. Because I think that's what you want. Because some of our cabinets, it's like there's not enough room from the ceiling to the top of the hood, and the technicians kind of need to know that
Right.
Excellent
sometimes
example.
before they go on site. So
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
actually there. That's the kind of thing that I think should sit in here.
yeah, like any testing protocols, or as David said, like if the cabinet, is kind of acting up this year, but not enough for us to repair it, but maybe by next year,
Yeah.
it's good for the next technician to next year see that same note.
Yeah. The other thing to know too is that within the customer units, like hopefully once everyone kind of gets into the system, they'll be able to navigate around here pretty quickly. But there will also be, besides having work orders linked to an individual customer unit, you'll also be able to see all of the reports that are linked to it, right? So you could, like with 2 clicks, go back and read the report. And maybe there's like a summary part of the report that we could pull out. And part of it could be something like that, which is carry forward notes or something like that. So you can see that it just comes right in. We could certainly do something like that, like a summary. Anyway, I'll put a note about that because it is a good idea. And David,
Sorry,
don't ever hesitate to ask me questions, by the way, because I don't mind. Like when we're developing systems, they become so familiar to us that sometimes I don't even explain things that well because it's like I totally understand what we're doing. And so even if Bev's heard it a few times, it's been a while since she's seen it anyway, right? So it's good just for her to have a little reminder as well. Mm-hmm. So don't worry about asking questions. I don't have a pen that actually works. All right. Okay. All right. So essentially, the technician's on site, and they are ready to kind of start to work on their cabinet. So they would click the plus button, okay, and it would create their report for them. So I've now it's flipped me over to the unit reports module, okay, and for them it would open like this, which is just kind of more of a data entry interface for them. All right. Okay. And what this system has done is it has pulled together all of the tests linked to the protocol, linked to that customer unit type. Okay, so these are the various tests that they're going to be testing on, and these are the items, all right, for each. So as I go through this, I'll show you what I mean. Okay, they'll be able to use key codes, so I'm just using, I'm going up and down right now with a command button and my arrows. I can go in between, what am I doing right now anyway? Never mind. So if I keep going down, it'll just take me right through the whole thing. I can go back and forth, and I think I can skip if I could. Oh, I know what I do.
Right. If you hold down Option as well, it'll take you to the beginning.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out. So there's different things that we can set up in here for them to be able to quickly and easily move through this instead of having to click on each one. These questions and stuff like that are all in the setup of the tests. And I'm going to take you back there for a second because I want to show you how the tests have been set up. Okay, so here's the first one. So this is the velocity profile airflow analysis section. Okay, Peter's set it up so that it has a header, right? Supply downflow, so that we can put that out, put it on the report, and they'll be able to see it as well. As you go down each one, you can see how it's built, right? Mm-hmm. What our different options are. If it's going to be, the result is going to be a text, a number, a date, checkboxes, a table, or a calculated result. Okay. Right now, this is checkboxes. So if you want to let them choose more than one of these, you click on the allow multiple selections, and they'll be able to, when they're filling in the data, they can check off more than one of these.
Okay. And this screen that you're on right now, this is something that, let's say, whoever is authorized to create a report within the company would be working with? Or is this just the specific screen you guys have as programmers?
No, this will be within the company, can build reports in here.
Excellent. Okay, very good.
Okay. The other thing, too, Peter's added in here, which I thought was a really good idea, is these instruction boxes. Okay, and I'm just going to go down. I can't remember where they are. Let me just find one. I think it's in a little bit here. Okay, so here's one. This is an instruction attached to this actual test, to the exhaust grid test. Okay, but then there's, I know he's got one too. Must be in the next one. And I'm just going to show you what that looks like. There we go. So down here, for example, here's an instruction for this view screen retention test. I'm going to take you back. Hopefully this jumping around that I'm doing right now isn't confusing you guys too much.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
Excuse me.
So in here, oh, I think I did something crazy, Peter.
I think I did something crazy.
It looked
Make
like
a note of that.
Like
a bug. Sorry, folks.
It went into a list view of it. Yeah, so I'm going to go back into the technicians layout. Okay, so here, for example, you can see the eye pops up when there is an instruction, and they can click on that, and it pops up. They can see exactly what the instruction is for that test. If there's something specific that they need to know about it, okay, and then if I go back to the next one, I think it's on this one, yeah. And so here, if it's specific to the item, the actual piece of the test that they're doing, there's an instruction there.
Okay.
Okay. And again, that's set up by the person who's setting up the test. Okay. The passes and fails, these kinds of things are pretty easy to do. A couple of nice things Peter has done is with the tables, and I just want to show you that. Okay, so here's a table. This is where they enter in kind of like their airflow readings and all of that kind of things, that kind of stuff. So this one has been set up to be 1 by whatever it is. If the technician gets on site, and this is just kind of going to be a default size, whatever the person who's setting up the test decides it is, if they get on site and realize that that they need it to be different, they just click here and they say, okay, well, instead I'm going to actually need 12 columns and 5 rows.
And the technician is actually able to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Okay.
Yeah. So the technician can just redo their table just like that. And if, by the way, if they add something in and then they get rid of it, so if I go back to 9 by accident, and they realize whatever, they've made a mistake, it'll still be there when if they make it bigger again.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Nope, I didn't go big enough there. Sorry.
12, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice. Okay.
Okay. Trying to think what else. There'll be calculations in here. We've got a couple of them like this where we haven't put in the calculation, but essentially this will be calculated based on whatever. I think it's some stuff from the table and then these two values right here.
Yes, that makes sense.
Yeah, because Tim was explaining to us, and I'm not sure that I took good enough notes to actually figure out the calculations, but this is something that we can work out when I come on site to set the reports up properly.
Do you have the inflow results page set up at the moment? Oh, this is just an area where the tech will enter the number, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I was just curious what was on it. Okay.
So where is the inflow results anyway? I'm just kind of looking at a paper copy right now. Oh, is that the table? Is it kind of like an inflow face velocity, that part?
Yeah, I mean the inflow results are probably, there's like there's sort of a grid on the report that's kind of, fills the page left to right, and then below it three individual sort of gridded sections that have the different methods. So like the direct inflow method, the exhaust filter. I don't remember the exact wording. The exhaust filter method and the constrictor method. Those are actually the summary of the results.
Right.
Oh, it says direct inflow, exhaust grid, and constricted access.
Yeah.
That's actually the summary on our report, and some of that data never changes, like things like the access opening size. That's never changing. And then some of the numbers do change year after year based on the numbers that we find. But that's kind of the summary of the inflow results right there.
Right. Okay.
It's a little hard for me just looking at the printed report. What is calculated and what is filled in here?
Yeah.
So, but it can be changed as we go too, pretty easily.
I think.
Yeah.
Under the inflow face velocity, that grid there. Are you on page 2?
Yeah, I'm on page 2 right now.
Okay, so it says, I think, direct inflow.
Yep.
I think all that underneath, like acceptable range, FPM, CFM, airflow results, I think that's all. Is that what's calculated, David? Like that's what the answers you get after you've done your readings, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the problem here is that it depends on what method you use on what needs to be calculated. Yeah. So the easiest of all the methods is the direct inflow measurement, where you're reading a CFM and you just need to do a quick math where you divide the CFM by the access opening and it gives you the velocity, the feet per minute. And that's it. And so you just fill in the feet per minute and that's all. And the most complicated is the exhaust filter, where you do a whole, a number of equations to eventually get you to the average feet per minute inflow results. And what's critical, what the standard is based on, is the average feet per minute inflow. So whatever reading we take, whatever method we use, eventually it gets us to the average feet per minute inflow.
Right. So I think the way it would probably work in here is that, so you can see right here, Peter has set it up as inflow data 3-inch constricted. So I'm not sure that the 3-inch will work because I'm not sure, like that's something we're going to have to talk to them. But essentially I think what would happen here is you'd have 3 different tests here, and whichever one they chose to do, that's the one that they'd select. They could remove the other 2, right? Okay. And then whatever data has to be pulled in, because really the trickiest part of this whole thing isn't going to be for what they have to do. It's going to be in setting it up, right? So it's really about this here, how this is set up. So whatever this calculation is, it'll be based on, the other information that has been entered. right?
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. Because any of those, items 2, 3, and 4 on there, uh, oh no, okay, no, I'm reading that wrong. Yeah, but you're right. I mean, the direct inflow or the exhaust or the 3-inch constricted all lead to the inflow results, depending on which one you did, and the other two are then not important. You only do one of those three
Yeah,
tests.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
they could then remove it or omit it or do something or just, we'd maybe have a way that they can, like on the over here, uh, essentially what they'll be able to do is just say, okay, well, I don't want to print certain ones, right? Like we'll have default them all on to print and then remove some or something, whatever they want to do. Like we can certainly, there's a way of getting rid of them. We'll just be able to get rid of them for them.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, on our report right now, we've got all three,
Yeah.
and two sit blank with, NAs filling all the blanks.
Right.
But there certainly isn't a requirement to have that all on there, and the report would probably look much nicer if the other two were missing.
Right. Yeah. Right. Exactly. So those kind of things, we'll be able to set it up. It'll just be those are the kind of more complex things that we'll have to sit down and figure out how those calculations work. Because Tim
Yeah.
explained them to us, but we're just like, okay.
Well, and no, absolutely, absolutely. It's, I mean, we train guys for a year on this kind of stuff. So, but my guess is that's probably fairly easy to do once you are able to sit down with someone, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think
Okay.
so. Well, just because I think some of the information too will actually sit with the unit itself. Um, like there should be certain things like you're talking about. What did you say? Opening something like the opening?
Yeah, the access opening. I mean, it'll never change on that unit
Yeah.
ever. It's always going to stay the same
Yeah.
on
So
that
those
specific.
kind of values, like they could sit in here, right? So
Yes.
that they don't have to be entered over and over again. No one has to check them. So any of those kinds of standard
The
numbers
Yep.
could sit with the
Airflow
unit.
ranges will be the same as well. I mean, the airflow ranges are set in stone. They are not movable. So same kind of thing. That's data that you could have in there.
Yeah, exactly. So any of that kind of stuff, like that's really because now that Peter's built this, now what we can do now is fine tune it and figure out, okay, so looking at the report, what should sit with the customer unit? And really, like, how far back can it go? Like, what could sit with the equipment type, right? So that you have less to fill in, less data to fill in. Is there any
Yeah.
is there any of that data that could sit with, the biosafety? Are all class 2 biosafety cabinets, do they have this same values for certain things that we could fill in that could then pull onto the report that you guys never have to enter again? You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yep. No,
So
that's
we'll be able to do that. Anything that we can do like that. So then we'll take a step forward then and go, okay, now the customer units. So what is, not quite as common across all of the equipment types, but now has to sit with individual customer units that we could pull into the report that you guys don't have to enter again.
Yep.
So anyway, so that's kind of where we're going with this.
Okay.
So what else was I going to tell you? There's a couple of things, like I'm not sure exactly how Rob's going to present this to the group. This is obviously this is our first draft at this, and we have a lot of work to do on it still, in terms of actually setting it up so it means something for you guys, right? So I'm not sure how he's going to present it, but we've added a couple of things in here. Like Peter has started to set up the biosafety cabinet report. There's some things like, they can click up here, for example, when they're in here, just to look at more information if they want to, if they need to see, and then we can hide it again. I'm not sure what other stuff should show up here, right? I don't know if they maybe want to see the report number at the top. Maybe they just want to see the customer name, like where they don't have to click to open it. Just that kind of stuff. We're kind of looking like, what else do you guys want to be able to see?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question, and it's not one I can easily answer.
Yeah. So it's like, it's going to be a little bit of sitting down and playing with it too, right? Because once you guys start, you'll start to say, oh, it would be great if it would do this. It would be great if we could see this. Peter's also started to lay in a report. Okay, I'm just going to you'll just kind of see it's just very basic right now. But essentially what he wanted to show here is that he's pulling in all of the different sections, right?
Yes. Okay.
And so obviously all of this stuff, it'll look more like, you know, what you guys have, like logos and all that other kind of stuff. Like it's not going to look like this, but we just wanted to show the ability to bring in anything that's kind of been data entered into.
Okay.
Okay.
Can I just ask, you got me thinking about something when you were talking about the information on the top bar, that top gray bar. You know, one thing I do as a technician, if I'm on a big job site, is I'll actually I'll work on multiple reports at once.
Okay.
Is that kind of thing doable in this system? You
Like
know, are you
having
able to?
multiple windows open?
Not even, I guess, not even necessarily multiple windows, but you know, can I enter, let's say, downflow data on one unit and then move, you know, to another without actually completing that report and
Oh,
enter smoke test data, let's
yeah.
just say, with the goal of having all of them done at the end of the day, sort of, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not sure
Okay.
because we haven't really talked about if, and that's another thing too. Like, would you guys need to be able to navigate between your reports, right? This right now, yeah, this navigates me between the items and stuff like that. But
Hmm.
really, what we have here, so you can see there's 6 reports in here, right? And I can navigate through them like this. You don't have to have anything done before you move to another report. So it might be something
Okay,
that we do.
that's good because,
Yeah, go ahead.
sorry, keep going. Well, I was just going to say that's good because we have situations where you might have multiple units in one room. And so you can send multiple technicians, and one guy typically will do the report. And he'll be receiving data from, you know, let's say up to 3 other guys at once. So
Ah,
he might get downflow data on for one unit. He might be, you know, entering leak test results for another. I mean, he's basically getting numbers thrown at him from all the guys doing the work.
yeah,
So being able to navigate from report to report, I think is actually a valuable feature and is something that some people will do. And sometimes, you know, that won't be the case. Some technicians will just work on one unit at a time with one report, finish it, and move on.
yeah,
You know, it's very different depending on who you're working with and where you are in Canada.
yeah. Okay. Okay, that's no problem. Okay, yep, that's easy.
I think, you know, just thinking about the multiple reports and the data that you have in that top gray bar, you know, the way that I tell what I'm doing is by looking at the file name, which of course on Microsoft Word appears at the top. So when I'm opening multiple windows, you know, I see the report number. I see usually the building because that's what I put into the file name, and I see a room number. And those are kind of the 3 critical things that I use to figure out what report I'm working on, or, you know, which report is from where. So I don't know if that's helpful, just as
Yep, that's
some
good.
general feedback. You know, report number, building or location, and room number is usually what I've got in my file names.
Okay, nope, that's helpful. Yeah, that's very good. Okay, that's good. Okay. Anything, Bev? Do you have any questions about anything?
No, I don't think so. It's kind of, this is the testing part, so it's more, this is more David's field. The only thing I wonder though, David, is where it says like record ID number and it has all that. Would it be handy to have maybe like the serial number of the unit, if that's even a possibility up there, or no?
Yeah, I don't know how much data we can put up there, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's definitely handy. You know, the office utilizes the contest ID quite a bit. That's kind of a useless number to the technician in the field. I mean,
Okay.
they you know, it's not something that's really listed or used from a technician standpoint as an identifier. So it's a critical number. The office uses it, you know, for tracking. But as far as what is valuable, you know, to the technician up top, serial number is probably a good idea. You know, report number is probably not bad because if you're doing multiple units, you usually know which one you started first. So even just being able to see the sequential numbers
Yeah.
tells you kind of which report is going with which unit.
Okay.
And the serial number is you know, a number that's never going to change, that we can always use to kind of back up what's going where.
Okay. Yep, that's no problem. Okay. All right.
That's my only thinking was
Yeah.
that record ID number right now that's on there doesn't mean anything to either the technicians or the head office, but I think a serial number is usually a secure identifier, especially if you got multiple windows open. At least you can kind of flip back, but I don't know if that's
that's
an
just an
option or not.
internal ID that I haven't actually replaced with anything at this point.
Yeah. No, and
Yeah.
I understand that. So, but
And of course, at some point, you have too much information too,
Yeah.
right? You know,
Yeah.
there's a limit on what you want to put. But Bev, I think serial number actually, if it'll fit, you know, I don't know what the limitations are here, guys, but yeah, serial number is a great identifier that doesn't change from our perspective. So that's a good suggestion.
Okay. Okay, no problem. Okay, so Peter, do you want to add anything? Is there anything you want me to explain, or do you want to explain anything more?
No. The whole doing multiple reports at once is doable. I wouldn't say easy, but
Okay.
doable.
Because you're
I could
talking
figure
about
out,
actually opening up more than one.
You're
But
having so
technically,
having a list at the side there. Yeah, no, but Lorinda, but so what we're going to end up with in that unit reports module are thousands of reports spanning multiple companies, right? So it's not going to be as simple as going back and forth between reports. You're going to have to do finds and things like that, and you want to be a decent interface too.
yeah.
So anyway, so that's something to figure out. But otherwise, yeah, like I say, doable, not impossible.
So
I'm
actually, the
seeing a lot.
system is letting us open them up, though, right? Like it is actually letting me
Yeah,
open
but
up.
Lorinda, don't. I'm
I know. I'm just.
rethinking this whole interface. So just don't go too far down that road. I'm thinking of not doing
Actually,
this.
this is really good stuff. This is really good stuff to have you guys testing out because, you know, of course, we don't know the limitations of this system or, you know, what you're doing there, Lorinda, by opening multiple windows, what that's going to affect. But I can guarantee you our guys are going to try to do that. You know,
Right.
I guarantee because, you know, when you're sitting in a room with 6 pieces of equipment, you're probably going to sit down for half an hour and open all the, and maybe this system will change the way we do things. You know, that's the other side of it. But most guys are going to sit down for half an hour and prepare 6 reports, and then they're going to go and collect the data. And
It makes sense. I mean, if you're using the same piece of equipment, if 3 different tests use 3 different pieces of equipment, and you're in a room with 3 machines,
yep.
then you're probably going to want to do the same test 3 times and then move on to the next test and do that test 3 times.
Absolutely right. Yeah, you take the piece of equipment out, you move it to the next one, and you just do the same test. And you usually do that 3 times before you go back and enter any data.
Right. Okay. So that's very helpful because when we're demoing with Tim, there's one guy in a room with 2 people, and we're walking and doing everything step by step, and he's showing us all the procedures. It didn't occur to me that you would that would be the case, but
I think Tim was kind of in training mode for you to say, okay, this is how we do it. But then when you've got 2 or 3 technicians on site, or even one technician, but they're doing more than one hood, he's not doing the training mode. He's kind of doing, you know what, I'm going to do all the leak tests first, and then I'll do all the velocity readings, and then I'll do the smoke test, and then I'm out of here.
Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense too.
Yeah, I'm sort of rethinking this interface now a little bit. I don't have an answer, but you know, definitely worth considering.
Okay.
Good.
You don't want clicking back and forth 5 times. Just
right. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad that came up.
Okay. All right. So I think that's it for now. Is there anything else you guys wanted to ask about? Bev, do you have any questions about kind of the work orders or anything like that?
Not right now. It doesn't look like. Yeah, I guess I would kind of need to know, and I don't even know that we're there yet, but I kind of need to know, it would start from quoting, because I don't know that we can just, and maybe in this system you can just kind of open up a work order and send it, but I think I'd have to kind of figure out how we do the quote and then get the sales order sort of thing, then issue the work order, and then, yeah, because this screen you have here, I don't quite understand it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no, I understand that. Essentially, the way kind of like our flow that we were thinking about is from within a company, right, like a customer, you can create a new work order, right? And there are no restrictions on this, like you said, because we haven't started this system in the quoting stage. It started at
Right.
the work order stage. There's nothing that
Yes.
has to be approved or anything like that technically
Right.
in the system. So you hit confirm. As soon as you select your job site, so if it's the same one, it pulls in any customer unit that's linked to that. Okay.
Oh yeah, and then you said you just kind of drag and drop
Yep.
to the
So
side.
you just select them. So just say these are the 2 units they're going to work on.
Yep.
See this little arrow appears here. You click that and you say what they're going to do. So these 2, whoops, are going to be decontaminated, and it just moves them over there. Now,
Oh,
if
I
you
see.
also wanted them to certify them after that, you just hit that and it moves them over for certification.
Okay.
Okay, so it's supposed to be as easy as possible for you to create a fairly complicated work order. You can
Right.
type in a description here if there's something specific that you want them to do, you know.
Okay.
So
I mean, that looks
anything,
to be straightforward.
yeah, like it should be really simple for you to create work orders as long as like the data is linked, like as long as all the units are there. And so, for example, if you had a customer, and so you can see all the customer units linked to this particular company as well.
Yeah.
If you go to one of them, you can fill in more information because this doesn't have very much information filled in. But if you wanted to create additional ones, like say it was a brand new unit, you would just select what kind it is. And then you'd fill in your information for it, right? Go back, create your work order, attach that customer unit, and say initial inspection or something like that.
Okay. No, I mean the work order seems to be kind of straightforward. The original one that had both, like that was kind of busy looking. It was,
Yeah.
I didn't quite understand what that one was all about, but no, that seems to be straightforward.
Yeah.
Now I do know, I think it's next week where Rob's expecting to, I guess, show the technicians what's being built.
Yeah.
Is this like, are we going to be, I guess his one concern is are we going to be at a point where we can kind of walk through a class 2 cabinet testing and then show the report at the end?
Well, it's not going
Or
to be
are we not there yet?
yeah, like I said, we're kind of like at first draft of this, like this is the first
Yeah.
time anyone has seen it. So we haven't gotten anybody's feedback on it, right?
Okay.
And so what, ideally now, so we're going to do a couple of things before Wednesday.
Right.
Just to make it a little bit, I'm going to enter a little bit more data in there, like just to give him a little bit more to show. But it's not going to be, much past where we are right now, other than we can add a few more things in, unless
Right.
he had something very specific to say, well, I'd like to see this, or I want to show them that. It's really like I said, how he's going to position it with them in terms of this is what we're building, this is kind of where we're going with this, and this is kind of like a first draft of what you guys are going to be working with.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm not 100% clear as to what he's expecting to show them. I think I was under the impression he's expecting to show them, even if it's just one report, the class 2 or the fume hood, and just kind of, okay, you're going to a customer's job site, we're pulling up, the screen, you enter in your numbers, and here's the end result, sort of thing. I don't know where he's sitting. He kind of briefed me before he left here, but I don't know that I got the information correct. So
No, you're probably right. And that was kind of why I wanted to show him kind of where we were.
yeah.
But you're probably right. That's probably what he was thinking that he was going to do as well.
Yeah, what I think he wanted to do was to be able to enter, let's say, pretend data into the report, the app, let's say, and kind of show the guys what this is going to look like, whether it's got real data in it or not. This is what the report is going to look like. So I when I'm looking at this, there's a number of, I'm going to just call them little finicky things I see, that will need to be corrected, but it doesn't make sense to bring those up at this point because it's really something that you'll probably just have to sit down with one of them,
Yeah.
and they'll, this should be here, and this should show the readings, and like for example, the variance, individual readings not more than plus minus 25%. We actually need to say what those readings are, little finicky things like that aren't important at this stage. And you were able to show us a little bit of what the final report would kind of look like. So I think that's partially where Rob was trying to go. Although Rob was probably hoping for something a little more complete. But I think in general what he was hoping to do is just showcase to the managers the technician side of things, because the managers aren't necessarily going to be dealing with work orders, or they might, but at the moment they're not. Really they're more concerned about what will the technician have to do, and how will his time on this system look, and what data will they be entering. So I think that was Rob's big hope, just knowing the audience of this meeting for next week.
Okay, so it's not technicians actually that he's meeting with?
No, and Bev, you can correct me, as far as I understand it, he is not going to display this to the technicians on Wednesday. He's going to display this to the regional managers on Thursday.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So, see, I don't know. All I was told was that me and you are presenting it.
Oh, okay. I wasn't privy to that.
Because he said we're the ones sitting through the presentation. So he's like, I'm hoping you and David can present it. But at the same time, he didn't tell me who my audience would be. So I don't want to
that's
say
fine.
yes.
I can wing just about anything, so I'm not too worried there. But he said specifically to me he didn't want to show all of the technicians this yet, because when techs see this kind of stuff, they get really antsy, and then is it ready this week? Is it ready this week? Is it ready?
For the technicians, I'd like to show it to them. Okay, well that's actually a different audience and a better one, because with the regional managers, at least to me, then showing them kind of like how the system is going to be built for the technicians is a little bit easier than trying to explain to the technicians it's not there yet, but it's going to be there. And
this is how you'll do this. I understand.
That's harder for the person who's actually the end user. It's a little bit hard to try to convince them that it's all going to be good when it's not quite there yet.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So is Rob coming back next week?
Yeah. He just had an appointment this afternoon. I don't think he's going to be back in the office tonight or like today.
Okay.
But he did say he was going to call me. If anything, I'm going to see him tomorrow. So I don't know, at some point. And then I also believe, yes, he'll be calling David as well. And I don't know if he's going to reach out to you guys.
You recorded this, Lorinda, which I'm not sure he's aware about that possibility.
I
so this might be really.
I didn't think about it until just before the meeting. I was like, oh, I can record this.
Yeah, that's awesome, because then he can hear all the conversations that we've had with you, the questions, as well as see the whole presentation.
Yeah.
Although he may choose, not to. He may just talk with us, but at least that option is there for him.
Yes. Yeah. No, I think it's good that it was recorded.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And I told him as well, I'm actually working all weekend. We're working on another project right now. It's one of our sinking clients is updating all their systems this weekend. So I told him that if he had questions or if he wanted me to show him anything, I could do it this weekend as well, if he wanted to. So he said he was going to talk to you guys first, and then he might contact me this weekend.
Okay.
We were all at a conference, or Rob and I at least were at a conference that was stretched over last weekend. So he may be very intentionally shying away from work this weekend.
No kidding.
I know I will be. So.
But was that in Tampa though?
Yeah, okay, fine. It was in Tampa, right.
Right, working in Tampa.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, actually, we have one of our neighbors, her husband travels a lot for work as well. And I swear that we know when it's going to snow, because as soon as he leaves town, it snows and she's outside shoveling by herself every single time. And now it's kind of like our joke. It's like, oh yeah, Mike must be on vacation because it snowed again.
Snowing, yeah.
Anyway, okay, all right. Well, okay. So I'm going to talk to Peter for a little bit. but I'll send the recording and then just kind of a quick email off to Rob as well.
All
Excellent.
right.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks for your time, you guys.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.